This is Velvet, and I am executive director of a group home. And we have a guest named Niyah today. I met Niyah at the age of, I was 15.
Yeah.
And she's a former resident at New Haven Dominion. So I want to chat with her and talk about the experience in foster care, in and out of foster care. I want to know your journey in foster care. Share your story. Talk with me.
So, I came into the system when I was younger, but I was placed with my grandparents, so it was kind of the norm.
Right.
I was with family members. But as I kind of got older, you know, you're learning new things. You get older, you think you're grown. And me and my grandma, we clashed heads a lot. I don't think she really understood me. My time being placed with my family, I felt more of like an outcast, like I didn't belong. You know how some people be like the black sheep of the family?
Yeah.
That was me. So during those times, it was like really, really lonely for me. And my depression showed in disrespect. People thought that I was a problem child or what they call a troubled teen, but really I was just lost. I didn't know who I was, didn't know my identity. I'm in a family where I don't feel like I belong. So there are times where I really felt like their lives would be better if I wasn't here. So after a little bit of time, you know, my grandma just was like, she just couldn't do it anymore. So I went to my dad where I was not supposed to go. And life there was not it for me. Very traumatic, very traumatizing. And I ended up going into the system because I wasn't supposed to be with him in the first place, so I wasn't supposed to be there. And before I came here, before I came to you guys, I was placed in like an actual group home facility.
Oh, okay.
Completely different. It was like 12 of us, girls on one side, boys on one side. It was like it looked like a hospital home.
Oh, wow.
And you're around these different people, different characteristics. Everybody was battling something, but I didn't stay there long because my case got moved back to St. Johns County. So then I came and I was at a foster home for like a night. And then my case manager was like, well, we found you a permanent placement. You know, it is a group home, but it's more like a house. It's a home. So it's going to be like completely different from here. So I was like, okay. And then I was placed in New Haven Dominion.
Oh, wow. What was your experience?
My experience.
What was your experience? And give me the truth. Give me the honest truth of your experience, your journey at New Haven Dominion. What was your first day looking like? Walking in the doors of New Haven Dominion.
My first day was wild. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay.
One of the girls was leaving.
Oh.
What was her name? Tay?
I don't know.
I think.
Oh, Tay.
Tay was leaving that day. So, Miss George called them ride out nights or something like that.
Oh, ride out nights. Oh, okay, yes.
So we went to Starbucks. We got her normal Starbucks drink. And she had this playlist that was the ride out playlist. And my day, well, my night, because I got here at night, it was tough. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't feel comfortable. I felt really out of place. And I remember you was singing on the floor. Always you. And I remember that night I I went in the bathroom. I didn't know how to cut the shower on. And one of the girls that became my long sister, she helped me cut the shower on, but I didn't initially get in the shower. I was crying in the bathroom, but I didn't want nobody to know I was crying because I just didn't understand how I had gotten myself in a situation where I felt like I didn't belong in my family, but I missed my family. So I was like, how did I get here?
So you're in a new environment, new people.
What's going on? So I want to say for about my first 4.5 months, I cried a lot in that bathroom. I know sometimes I used to be like, this girl always in the bathroom. She always looking at herself in the mirror. No, baby, I'm not in here looking at myself in the mirror. I'm in here crying because being in a group home is tough, especially at my age. We was in high school. We got boys that like us. We got friends that want to hang out.
Right.
People asking like, can I get your number? Can we hang out after? And I'm like, no.
You don't want to say I'm in a group home.
But we don't want to say that because it's like...
You think it's embarrassing?
It is embarrassing.
Did I make it worse?
Not
because I remember when you brought home a guy.
I did.
And the tag number and everything. But I would have done that with my regular daughter. Not regular daughter, but my own daughter.
I don't know. I guess it's like we already have a target on our back. Being in a group home. So we just want to live life as normal as possible.
Right.
But most people didn't really know we were in a group home until they came inside of the house. Because on the outside of the house, you wouldn't know.
Okay.
We lived in a house.
Okay.
And then people thought that me and Shanatica were sisters. So it didn't really like...
How did the inside look?
It looked like a home, other than like the fire alarms and stuff.
Right.
But that's what one of the the boy that I brought home, that's what he kind of like pointed out. And he was like, that's kind of what gave it away. Not like all of us being different, you know what I'm saying? But just like, he was like, I ain't never been in a house where, you know what I'm saying, y'all got fire alarms, stuff like that. No, like,
right. The rules got stricter.
I was like, you know, just
fire alarm system now.
Yeah. And then the alarms on the window.
Yeah.
So it was a lot, but I think for a majority of it, just being in high school, being in a group home is tough because you're a teenager. You're already going through the emotions of being a teenager. So now it's like, it gives more people something to talk about because it feels uncomfortable. But I learned from when I got out of the group home and I aged out and finding Christ and finding my identity, being in a group home became shameful because I didn't know myself. So it was more of like an identity thing.
Right.
And I want people to know you don't have to be ashamed to be in a group home. Everybody has a different walk in life. Everybody goes through different things in life. And I question God all the time. I remember I said I wanted my book to be named God, Why Me? And I told you that, and you said, but why not you? And I never understood that until I said it again to somebody else, and they said the same thing. They said, why not you? And I was like, I don't get why people keep saying, why not me? And then I thought about it and I prayed about it one day, and I had a dream. And in my dream, it was like I was a little girl, but it was like my dream was jumping in different places. Like I was going through different phases in the dream. And that's how I got the cover of my book. And I was like, now I get it. Sometimes we go through stuff in life because what if another person went through it and they weren't as strong-minded, or some people take their life because of it.
Right.
And I honestly thank God that it was me, because it made me stronger. It ultimately brought me back to Christ. That's one thing that I loved about being at NHD is it was family oriented, and whether we wanted to go to church or not, we was going to church. Whether we wanted to go to Bible study, we was going to Bible study. But it's like the same thing that I learned with my grandma. She installed stuff in me that I'm never going to forget. Y'all installed stuff in me that I'm never going to forget, keeping me in church, keeping me, you know what I'm saying, in a place where I wasn't able to receive y'all love while I was here. But that's because I was battling so much that I didn't understand. But it's because the Bible tells us to seek God. And when I started seeking him and I started asking him, like, why did you keep me here? What was my purpose? Why did I have to go through all of this stuff just to get to this place in life? And ultimately, all of that stuff is what helped me grow as a person. It molded me into a better person. And now that I have kids, I understand I don't want my kids to go through that. So it even molded me into being a better mother. And I remember going to church one day. I had just got off a fast. I was really seeking God. Like, I need answers. I don't understand. And feeling like I was like not a good mom, just asking him, like, I was really confused. Like, what am I doing? And my apostle told me, like, God wanted him to tell me that in the spirit I was becoming the mom I never had. And I completely broke down, because every Bible study that I did during my fast, he spoke to me and he said everything back to me. And I was like, there's no way that you know that. No way you know that. So even in that moment, God made himself real to me.
Right.
Because I had always been saying, like, God, if you're real, show me. I'm not testing you, but confirm it so that I know I'm hearing from you and it's not myself talking.
Right. So we have experience and we went through a journey with you as being an adult. Let's talk about while you was in New Habit Dominion, your emotions, your feelings, your challenges. I remember one time coming into work and I'm like, lottie dottie dottie, another day. And I come in and get a pass down. Staff walks out the door and I go do my rounds of checks. My round checks. And I notice 3 beds are empty. What? 3 girls ran away?
Yeah.
Hello, staff? Ma'am, what happened? Tell me what you experienced. Tell me your story. Tell me, and then also tell me, because again, viewers may be like, what? Okay, she left, she ran away. How did we get back to the place where we was able to talk and love, and where we at now?
So, like I said, while being in the group home, I was battling even knowing who I was as a person. So I was easily influenced. Okay. And it was more of like wanting to fit in, because outside of the group home, we already feel like we don't belong anywhere. Right. So in the home, all we have is each other. Right. So it's like, one of y'all leave, y'all leaving me. Y'all not going nowhere without me, because I'm not going to have nobody when y'all leave. And we had just came from like an awesome trip. I'm not going to lie. We had just came from Verge. Verge was amazing to me. I'm never going to forget that experience. Something that I hold near and dear to me. And then we went to Chicago right afterwards. Probably should have never did that. But had a great time in Chicago. And then a new girl came in. But mind you, I don't know if Miss Cash ever told you, but me and Nadi, we had got in trouble at school, cheerleading practice. And when we had came in, Miss Cash, you know what I'm saying, she said, Niyah, I'm gonna put you to the side because I want to tell you something. And I said, but you gotta tell me. And she was like, I had a dream that a new girl came in and she caused you to turn your back on us. And she was like, please don't do that. And I'm looking at her and I'm like, I'm not gonna do that. What are you talking about? Like, I literally love y'all. I'm not going anywhere. So she was like, I'm just telling you, like, that's the dream that I had. So I was like, that's never gonna happen. Come to find out, it actually did happen. The new girl came in and she just, I don't know, like, being easily influenced to do the wrong thing when you know right from wrong. And the emotions that I was feeling at the time was heavy emotions, because there was like a lot of side conversations going on, and coming from a place where I already don't know who to trust, and I don't trust anybody, and then I come in the home and I'm being loved by y'all, but I already can't receive the love. So it's like when we have so many staffs, so many opinions, so many like, well, they said this and they did this and this was said about you, and it makes you feel worse about yourself. And that's kind of the emotions that I was feeling at the time. Like,
so not only you was getting pulled, not only from the residents, but staff, of just going back and telling you things, making you feel back to day one of, do they really rock with me?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was more of like, I didn't know who to trust. And at the time, it only felt like the girls in the home was the only people that really could understand what I'm feeling, because they're actually walking through it. So on top of having an identity crisis, you don't know who you are. You're depressed because you didn't feel like you fit in with your family, but now you miss your family because now you're without your family. You got your grandparents coming to visit you, but they ain't staying. They got to leave. So they got to drop you back off. So now it's like, I want to go back to my grandparents. I want to go back where I took for granted what I had because I was going through my own things. And then it's like school, boys, it was like so much going on at one time. And to finally get to a place where you trust somebody and it gets snatched away from you, that hurt. And one night we was all just sitting on the floor. We had just had a conversation with you. I think we had just got in trouble about something.
Y'all stay in trouble. Stay in trouble.
And yeah, we had sat down on the floor, and the new girl, she looked at me, looked at the other person that ran away, and she was like, we should just leave. I was like, leave and go where? And she was like, you from here, like you know people here. I'm like, well, why would you put me out like that? I don't know nobody here. She was like, yes you do. So she ultimately planned it all.
The new girl.
And I was like, in the back of my head, like, Miss Cass had a dream, Miss Cass. And I'm like, I'm still ignoring it because I'm like, no, like if they leave, I'm going to be here by myself. And she was kind of doing up just like, you know what I'm saying, stuff clothes under the bed to make it seem like you're still here. And I'm like, you a certified runaway, like you do this, because I would have just thought to just go. But you know what I'm saying, you done pulled up the whole
plotted and everything.
And
so how did you feel? You guys left, and we didn't talk for a while because you went to another foster home.
Yeah, I went with my mom.
Yeah. How do we get back to this point of reconnecting? What happened?
When I left, so ultimately I was so upset and in my own feelings, right? Saying like, you know, because the trust had been broken within that moment from other like people around. When I sat in the car, like once my caseworker actually found me and I sat in the car, and I remember telling her, I looked at her dead in her face and I said, if you take me back there, I'm just going to keep running away. And she said, why? You used to love it there.
Right.
And I said, I don't want to talk about it, but if you take me back there, I'm just going to keep, I'm going to keep leaving. And she was like, well, you're not going there, but you have to go back there to pick your stuff up. And she was like, you're going to Beverly's house, who is actually ended up adopting me. And my entire time being there, I had a therapist. And we ended up talking about the situation, and she asked, why did you leave? And I told her, like, I looked at them as like my aunties. I looked at those girls as my sisters. I wasn't the oldest, but I was the second oldest, but I act like the oldest. So I knew that they held me to a higher standard. So after I felt like our trust was broken, and then I know I disappointed y'all, it's hard to face people that you disappoint when you actually love them. So it's like, I was telling her like all the emotions that I was feeling and how it ultimately made me feel like I missed my mark here. Like God had me here for a reason, and Miss Cash had that dream and I didn't take heed to the dream, and I still left knowing. So it was like, after our session, I, you know what I'm saying, just started praying and asking God, like, I don't understand why you keep placing people in my life, and I start to love them and I start to trust them, and then it keeps getting like taken up from under me. I don't get it. And I was just telling him, like, I keep feeling lost. I keep feeling like I'm not receiving that love. And then y'all ended up inviting me to an event, and I was like, why won't these people just give up? Like, I done ran away from them. I was, you know what I'm saying, I wasn't bad while I was in here, but I did have a mouth on me sometimes. And I was like, why do these people why won't they just give up? Because I'm used to people like getting disappointed in me and giving up, but y'all did not give up. So I'm like, if they inviting me to this event, they still got to have some type of love here for me. And I remember like going to the event and still seeing how highly Miss George spoke of me. I was like, yeah, they definitely like really do love me, and I'm here for the long run. Like, you can't get rid of me. Like, I'm really a part of the family,
even when you ran.
So I think ultimately that situation is,
what did you learn from that situation?
One, be your own person. Have your own mind. Even with being in the group home and feeling alone, you're not alone. I wish that I would have taken the time to actually, while in church, take heed to what I was learning. Because had I listened in church, I would have learned long ago that it's okay to be different. It's okay to have my own mind. I'm supposed to be the leader. Because if God tells me I'm the head and not the tail, why am I following behind someone if I know that they're doing wrong? That doesn't make sense. So I learned also to express my feelings in a healthy manner, because had I just come to you about how I felt, it would have never got to the point where I had to run away. And appreciating what I have, not taking stuff for granted. Because I took it for granted, just like I took being with my grandparents for granted. I took staying here for granted. And then I ultimately ended up in a place where I loved, but I still was lost either way it went. But I was learning something here. God placed me here for a reason. I'm going to church every Sunday. I'm around, even like I was telling you, like going to Bible study, being around other kids that are younger than me, older than me, on fire for God. Like, I'm like, these kids are so young. They speaking in tongues. They, you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like I missed my mark. So
why? Why do you feel that way?
Because it's like, I feel like I would have learned so much had I taken myself out of a place where I only felt shame. I don't feel like, what's like, how do I
Because remember when I picked you up from church? Normally Miss George would pick you guys up from church, and I picked you up from church and I asked you guys, did you guys meet anybody? Did you guys meet new friends?
The answer was always no.
Why?
Because it was
and then what did I say to you guys?
I can't remember.
When I said, is it them or is it you?
Oh, yeah. And we used to always be like, oh, they always just cliquish and they don't really, you know what I'm saying? But I learned that it was never them. It was us. Because we're holding on to that shame. So everywhere we go, we just feel like everybody looking down on us, or we're not equal to everybody else, or we're beneath other people. And it ultimately caused us to branch off. Because now that I'm not an outsider looking in, but now that I'm no longer in the group home, and I evaluate my feelings and my emotions and how I was in the inside, being around those other kids, we were not able to experience what we could have experienced because we were standoffish.
What other kids? In the church?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it had nothing to do with them, but more so something to do with us. So
get deep.
Okay. If you constantly tell yourself that you're beneath people, if you constantly come into agreement with shame, if you constantly come into like being in a group home is your only identity, you take that everywhere you go. So then you begin to project onto people that's not doing anything to you. So then you become like, it's like you victimize yourself. So I can only speak for myself to say, when we were going to church, when we were going to events, and we were being around other people, those people were very welcoming to us. They weren't doing anything to us, but we couldn't receive it because of what we had already identified ourselves as. So sometimes you have to learn that it's not always the other people, but it's sometimes you have to look yourself in the mirror. And I didn't understand that because it's like when you're sitting in the mess, you don't see it. When you're sitting in the emotions, when you're sitting in the shame, when you're sitting in that stuff, it's hard to see when people are being genuine.
Right. 2 more questions. What was your memorable moment at NHD? What is some lessons that you have brought into your motherhood, womanhood? You have a home, you have a family now. What are some things that you have learned from NHD?
My most memorable moment, it would have to be Verge for me. And I say that because I liked that at Verge, it was split, where the teenagers and the kids, we didn't have to be around the adults. So we were able to really be authentic with what we were really going through. So my favorite part was being able to worship freely. I had never done that before, but being around other teenagers where it's like, they're not ashamed to lift their hands. They're not ashamed to sing. They're not ashamed to praise God. But it's like, why do I feel so like I gotta sit in the chair and it's weird?
Right.
So I'm like,
you better praise God.
I remember the first night, I worshiped a little bit, you know what I'm saying, was singing and stuff like that. But when we left, I was literally like telling God, I could mouth secular music. Because you want to get deep, right?
Let's go deep, baby.
I could mouth secular music. I could dance provocatively. I could do all that, but why, when it comes to praising God, I'm now all of a sudden I'm shy? That don't make sense, right? That don't make no sense.
That don't make sense.
I started asking God, like, what's T? Because that don't make sense. But that's how the enemy uses people. Because ultimately, that's the perverted version of what God had already created. So the enemy does nothing but imitate everything that God already did. So the next night, I'm like, okay, God, if I worship you, make yourself known again. I'm not testing you, but I'm just saying.
What up?
If I worship you, let me know that you're here.
Okay.
So
what happened?
Song get to going, and the song was basically saying, "There's no mountain you wouldn't climb up." Running after me. So I'm like, okay. It got to the part where he was just saying, like, you leave the 99 to go find that one. And then in the middle of them singing, he started saying, if you grow up without a dad, if you know what I'm saying, it's voids that you feel like are missing, start talking to God about it. And I'm on the ground, I'm boohoo crying like uncontrollably, don't understand what's going on. Body on fire, like I didn't understand nothing that I was saying. And I remember before we left there, we were talking about how we couldn't speak in tongues yet.
Right.
And I forgot what you said to us, but I had told you that I kept getting scared, and you was like, don't get scared, just let it flow. So now I'm on my hands and knees the next day. I done said, God, if I start worshiping you, show me that you know what I'm saying, you here with me.
What they do?
Clock it. So I'm like, show me that you here with me. So now I'm on my hands and my knees, boo-hoo crying, body on fire, and I'm speaking in tongues.
Won't he do it?
Just for a girl that looks way younger than me to come next to me and say, I know you didn't grow up without your dad, but don't put no limits on God. Okay, so okay, so now you're just putting my business up there.
What up?
But okay. So after that was when I, for the first time ever, really gave God my yes, just from being at Verge. One encounter where I said, if you know what I'm saying? If you're real, just let me know you're here. That's all you got to do. And he answered just like that. Some people be like, oh, I don't hear from God, or have you actually surrendered
for real
to hear him? Because you can't hear him in chaos.
With all chaos flesh, because people forget God is a spirit.
And he's not going to over talk. He's not going to yell. He's not going. Are you seeking him?
And not just asking, God, get me out this situation. Are you seeking his love? Because once you seek God's love, and when he poured it on you, baby, the game changed.
It'll never be the same.
Never be the same. And that's why I'm teaching these girls here. It's like, stop going to God asking. You know, although it may be hard of saying, dang, I want to go to God and ask him to take me back to my family. I want to go home.
I never got it. I never understood it until I left. Why is it always we asking him for something, but we don't ever ask him what we can do for him? Because instead of asking him to go back home, ask him what you need to learn while you're here, because it's a reason why you're here in the first place.
Because you can go back home when you leave and can preach the word of God and can help your family.
Not you just hit something on the head for me. Because I got that answer, honestly. I had never learned about like generational curses and stuff like that until I came here. So what y'all were saying was foreign to me. I'm like, what are they talking generational curses? I'm not even understanding nothing y'all saying, because I'm not actively listening, for one, or even trying to understand it. So when I got to that place of like asking God, I understood that I was here on an assignment. I'm the first person out of my entire family to actually repent for my entire bloodline. Since I came here, I kept saying, because I came here, now I'm going to break generational curses, because as long as I got breath in my body, my kids will never experience what I experienced as a child. They will never have to go through this, because I learned stuff here. And although it's nothing to be ashamed of, ultimately, had I had the parents that needed to do what they needed to do to be parents, I would have never had to go through that in the first place. But I'm not ashamed of it now, because it's a part of my story. But being here, I learned that, why was I so quick to leave? Why am I so quick to go back home when I'm going back to nothing that's going to it's not going to change me for the better. It's not going to teach me anything. But I'm here and I'm learning stuff. But that's how the enemy plays. Once you start seeing like, okay, these people teaching them something that ultimately,
let me mess up. Let me stir up some stuff.
Because he like division. And he don't like when we start learning our identity. At that point, it's like, let me reach my full potential. Now it's over with for you. So he got to come in and disrupt everything. So I learned to stop like running and just sitting in it and asking God, what are you trying to teach me? Because I'm in this position for a reason. Whether I got here on my own, whether you placed me here, or whether, you know what I'm saying, but
the last question, because now it's like, what would you say to a lost girl that is coming into foster care, that she feels no hope, like what's going on? Why am I here? I don't want to be here. What would you say to her in the foster care system?
I would say, speaking from experience.
Okay, yeah. Duh.
No boy is going to stop you from feeling what you're feeling. He's not going to be able to fill that void. I would say, 2, even though it feels like there is no hope, there's always hope in Jesus. And while you're in your season of, I call it pressing, because while you're in foster care, you really have to press through sometimes. But you're not pressing through by yourself. If you take the time to really sit down and really ask God why you're in this position, but not just asking why, but what do I need to learn while I'm here?
Right.
Understanding that it sounds cliche, but it's literally always hope in Jesus Christ. That's the biggest advice I would always give is, when you feel lost, you feel like you don't amount to nothing, you feel like it's not hope, the void that you're trying to fill, only God can do that. No boy can do it. No drink can do it. Running back home ain't gonna do it, because you're gonna still feel the same emotions that you feeling here. You're still gonna feel it either way it goes. And had I learned that while I was here, had I learned if I took all the emotions that I had here and literally placed it in God's hand, life would have been so much better for me. Because God tells us to cast our cares on Him for a reason. Because we put limits on Him, because we put limits on ourselves. We put limits on other people. But He doesn't have limits. He's able to carry that. That was the whole point of Him saying, give it to me,
because I care for you.
So I would tell them, don't focus on the outside noise. Focus on Jesus. Focus on bettering yourself. There's no person, place, or thing that's going to fill the void or the emptiness that you feel other than Jesus. And it's always hope in Him.
Thank you for coming and sharing your story with us. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
And I'm glad that we overcame that challenge.
Yeah. I am too. Because now I'm really a part of the family. Alicia, you might as well be myself.
Well, I always say, okay, one more thing. What do you miss about Miss George?
I miss our talks. I was always in trouble when he was coming on here because I was never asleep.
Take your butt to bed.
Well, we used to have really good conversations, and I think her encouraging me all the time and speaking life into me when she probably didn't even know that's what she was doing. That's what I miss the most. Being encouraged by her. Because I think I was her favorite. No, I was definitely one of the favorites.
Okay. Shh. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story, and you are a brave one.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.